We are back on the record in the Gibb matter, case D12-462-464D. We'll resume our examination, but before we begin, have there been any stipulations regarding the admission of any exhibits?
Plaintiff's counsel has represented that he wants to admit the divorce decree, the complaint, and written discovery, the ROGs, RFAs, and RFPs. I'll stick to the decree and the written discovery, but nothing else that he turned over.
Okay. So those would be, what exhibit numbers are those?
I see 14.
We didn't actually go through the exam, Judge. Basically, the decree of divorce and all the the request for production of documents, interrogatories, and the admissions. That's it. So both sides.
That's exhibits.
First request for production, I see that starts at 6. Goes all the way down to 13, then 3.
We're looking at 6. Exhibit 6 is admitted. Exhibit 7 is defendant's response to request for admissions exhibit.
I think we would leave out 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Basically, everything after 14.
I don't even have a list on mine. So.
Is not admitted.
I'm sorry they didn't give you a list. I didn't realize they didn't give you a list. They should have.
14.
Can we make the list of this?
Right.
Chance?
So 6 through 14 are admitted into the record?
6 through 14? Well, I would have thought 1 through 14 would have been my thought.
1 through 14?
But the other side doesn't have this list for some reason. Can we make them a quick copy of this list so she can see what we're talking about?
Do we have an extra copy?
I don't have an
We can
extra
make an
copy,
extra.
So she can have this copy, actually.
What about on the defendant's exhibits?
My written production is Y through CC.
So those are admitted by stipulation, Y through
CC.
CC. Any other stipulations?
That's all we talked about.
I believe there were a couple that may have already been admitted from the examination. Exhibit K, as I recall, was the...
Date reference if they offer.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't generically see anything here I would object to, Judge, but I guess if she tries to admit it, I can object to them one by one if I need to, but I don't
Okay.
anticipate doing that.
All right, so counsel, if you can look at that list. The offer that's been made, I believe, is that exhibits 1 through 14?
14.
1
Right.
through 14, that's correct, Judge.
Are stipulated to be admitted into the record. Is that accurate?
No, that's not what I stipulated to.
Which numbers are you stipulating to being admitted?
Well, the motions are in there, but, Your Honor, I'll stick to those. That wasn't what I agreed to previously, but I'll do that now.
Okay.
So that's fine. 1 through 14?
Through 14?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so 1 through 14 are admitted as well. All right, we'll proceed with testimony at this time. Defendant, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can I call Farrah Gibb to the stand?
Okay. Could you please take the stand? Please remain standing and raise your right hand to be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear testimony about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
You may be seated. Counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. State your name for the record.
Gibb.
Do you know Kristen's brothers?
Yes.
And do you know his dad?
Yes.
What do Kristen's brothers do for a living?
Josh works at Apple Computer as a manager, as a floor manager. Asher. Josh works at the Apple Computer store as a manager, and Jeremiah works as a general contractor.
And what does Kristen's father do?
He's retired.
What did he do before he retired?
Air traffic controller.
Okay, I guess we're going to play games. Who raised Kristen? Who's his father that raised him?
Greg Hansen.
Okay. And how old was Kristen when Greg became his father?
I think he was 4 or 5 when they got. I'm not sure. I know that they met when he was 2, but I think that they're living together for a while, so I can't tell you exactly when they got married.
Okay, so around 2 years old, Greg Hansen became Kristen's stepfather. Yes or no?
He entered his life at age 2, correct.
Okay, and what does Greg Hansen do for a living?
I believe now he's a contract or project manager for a development in Hawaii.
And what kind of development?
I'm assuming construction. That's what his background is in.
Okay. Did you call them earlier in 2013 when the blower was having problems in the Ash Street house?
Objection, Your Honor. You decided early this morning we weren't going to go down the road of all these expenses and all that stuff, and that's right where we're at.
Well, I'm going to allow the examination, but again, time is precious.
Yes, Judge.
The two issues that I have to adjudicate primarily today through these evidentiary proceedings are the reduction in spousal support being sought by the defendant and the relocation request of the plaintiff. So when time expires, understand there's some wasted time here if that's the intent of this examination. But I'm going to allow it, but use your time at your discretion.
Did you call any of Kristen's brothers or his father about the blower in the Ash Street house earlier in 2013?
No. Why?
That's not what I asked you.
And I said no.
Thank you. Can you turn to tab X? Do you recognize that document?
Which exhibit? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
X.
Thanks, okay.
Who created this document?
I did.
You turn to the second page. And what is the title of that document? What's it say at the top of the page?
Earnings statement for 8972 Embroidery Avenue.
Okay. On the left side of the page, and the third little, I guess, paragraph grouping, can you read the fifth one down, the fifth expense down?
Para labor, painting and cleaning,
And what is the amount there?
$750.
Your Honor, I'd like to move to admit Exhibit X.
No objection.
Exhibit X is admitted into the record.
You refer to tab T. What is that document?
The lease agreement.
I'm sorry, which is D? I thought you
T.
T.
said T, I'm sorry, I thought you said T.
Tango. And who created this document?
The original template or filled in the template?
Filled in the template.
I did.
Is this a true and correct copy of this lease agreement?
I think so.
I move to admit Exhibit T.
Any objection to the
No
admission?
objection.
Exhibit T is admitted into the record.
And can you look on the 9th page of this lease agreement? And it's titled No Pets and No Smoking Policies. And there's some bullets there. Can you read what the 4th bullet down says?
A full painting may cost as much as $500.
Okay. We move to tab H. Do you recognize the individual pictured here?
Yes, it's my little boy.
And his name is?
Asher.
And where was this picture taken?
Well, I don't have birds at my house, so I'd assume it's at Chris's.
Okay, and given Asher's age, is this a recent picture or is this an old picture?
I would say it's this summer.
Your Honor, I move to admit Exhibit H.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit H is admitted into the record.
And looking at this picture, that bird fits in Asher's hand, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We move to tab G.
B or is it G?
G, as in golf.
You can hear.
Do you recognize this text message?
Sure. Yes.
And what is the date pictured?
July 20th, 2013.
And who is this text conversation between?
Between me and Chris.
And is this a true and correct depiction of your text message to Kristen?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to admit Exhibit G.
Any objection to the admission of
No
Exhibit
problem.
G?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit G is admitted.
And Farron, can you please read your speak bubble here on this text message?
Again, Chris, I want a good working relationship with you. I'm not trying to throw dynamite. I'm just on the defensive since you're taking me to court. I don't want anything to be turned around against me, or turned against me. If we have an uninvolved third party, it will be best for both of us. If you would still prefer to get your stuff after your trip to Spokane, that is fine with me.
Did you go to college, Farrah?
I did.
Where did you go?
Western Washington University,
And when did you graduate?
1998.
Were you in an accelerated program?
Yes, I graduated a year early.
And how about high school? Did you graduate high school early?
No.
And how many college credits did you have when you graduated from high school?
I had 1 year's equivalent. That's where I was able to graduate college a year early. I had a year of college.
Did you take out school loans to pay for college?
No,
Who paid for your college?
my parents.
Where did you work after you married Kristen?
I worked at Advanced Document Solutions.
And when you worked there, did you have any clients that we all may recognize the name of?
Sure.
And who would they be?
Pepsi Cola, Waste Management, the Hilton.
And did you stay in that industry when you moved to Seattle?
Yes.
Any well-known clients we might have heard of in Seattle?
Again, more of the same, like those type, and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
After Kristen went to undergraduate pilot training, where did you guys move to?
After graduate pilot training, we were in Oklahoma for a couple months for training, and then we moved back home to Spokane, Washington.
And once you returned to Spokane, what did you do?
I became a realtor. When I was pregnant, I
And who paid for your real estate training in Washington?
My husband,
And who was that?
Bryce.
You moved to Nevada in 2010, correct?
Yes.
And did you stay in real estate?
Yes.
And who paid for your Nevada real estate training and license?
My husband,
And again, that was...
I've only been married once, Chris.
Can you flip to tab B? What is this document?
It says it's an agent title fees productivity report.
And can you tell me what the date range of this is?
January 1st, 2013 through June 17th, 2013.
And who is the agent this is on?
Me.
And can you tell me what the date of printing is in the top left corner?
July 5th, 2013.
As of the date of that printing, is this a accurate representation of your work in real estate this year?
No, there's only one transaction.
As of the date of the printing?
I don't know. I know we submitted what my most recent productivity report is. I don't remember all the sales dates. Let's see, this was July. No, that's not correct because I had some sales that went through before July. So this is inaccurate.
What's inaccurate about it?
The number of transactions.
How many transactions did you have as of the date of this printing?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Your Honor, I'm going to need a little more definition. From what date to what date are we talking about here?
If you'll lay a foundation as to the time,
Well,
counsel.
Your Honor, this covers the date range on this is from January 1st, 2013 to June 17th, 2013. It was printed on July 5th. It shows one transaction.
So you're asking for, the answer, the question asks for information from January 1, 2013 to the July
5th.
5th
I
date.
just wanted to make sure she knew what she was answering.
So, and so with that clarification,
I'm trying to recollect the different dates of all of the transactions. I know to date I have more than this. If you want to refer to my most recent, all the sales I've had this year.
Well, why don't you tell us how many sales you have had this year?
I believe I've had 5 or 6. I'm not certain. 5 or 6.
Can you look at tab C? What is this document titled?
Agent title fees productivity report.
And what is the date range on this one?
January 1st, 2012 to June 17th, 2013.
And who is the agent?
Me.
I move to tab C admitted into evidence.
any objection to the admission of Exhibit C?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit C is admitted into the record.
If they're under grand total, how many transactions do you have on that?
23.
So from June 1st, 2012 to, January 1st, 2012 to June 17, 2013, you sold 23 homes.
Yes.
You move to tab CC. What is the title of this document?
Answer to defendant's first request for production of documents.
Can you flip to page 5? And is that your signature?
Yes.
And were you of sound mind and body when you answered this?
Yes.
Did you answer truthfully when you answered it?
Absolutely.
And I move to admit tab C.
It actually has been admitted by stipulation, so
Oh, thank
it
you,
is part of the
Judge,
record.
sorry. All right. Can you flip to the bait stamp documents in the back? We're looking at It's a couple zeros and then 58. What is that?
I think it's LinkedIn. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
On the, well, it is LinkedIn. What is LinkedIn?
It's I believe it to be a business networking like Facebook.
Okay. So on the right-hand side, about midway down the page, it says, who's viewed your profile? How many people visited your profile in the last 90 days?
I have no idea. I never log on.
It says right there.
Oh, 2.
And then just below that, it says profile strength. What is the strength of your profile?
It's probably 0. I don't know. Where does it say?
Well, it says profile strength, and then there's a big circle, and just to the right of the circle.
Begin.
Can you flip a few pages back to Bates stamp 000060? And what is this?
It's Facebook. Facebook.
Okay. And on this, on your Facebook page, can you indicate where it says that you are a real estate agent?
I don't know. I don't. None of my information's on here. It's got my school and my birthday, and that's it. I don't use Facebook. I don't update.
Okay, so would it be safe to say it does not say that you're a real estate agent on Facebook?
Correct.
And can you flip back to Bates stamp 64? And on the left side of the page, third person down, who is that?
Jessica Freeland.
You flip to tab V, as in Victor. So it's kind of a little bit covered up and you have to look underneath, but can you read up what website this is from? Obviously not the whole thing, but if you could just...
I don't know. It's sos.wa.gov.corps.search. I'm not sure what SOS is.
If I told you it was Secretary of State, would you...
Okay, sure.
All right. And what is this document? What's the title of the document?
The search results were for real estate Spokane.
And what is that corporate entity's full name?
Below, G&B Spokane Real Estate LLC.
No, not that. It's in bold right above the graph.
Real Estate Services of Spokane Incorporated.
Okay. Your Honor, move to admit Exhibit V.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection to this is Exhibit B?
V as in
V.
Victor.
V as in Victor. Exhibit V is admitted into the record.
Farrah, in that graph under Exhibit V, can you look towards the bottom of the page? And what is the address?
East 12810 Nora Avenue Street, or Avenue, Suite E.
Okay. Can you look at Exhibit I? What is this document?
A letter from Jessica Freeland.
What's the date of this document?
No, she didn't put the date on it.
No, there's no date on it. Who is this addressed to?
Me.
You're going to move to admit Exhibit I.
Any objection to the admission of Exhibit I?
Object.
Exhibit I is admitted.
On the bottom right-hand side of that letter, in the bottom right-hand corner, can you read the address?
Yeah, 12810 East Nora Avenue, Suite E, Spokane Valley, Washington, 99216.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to get you to flip to tab W. And what is the title of this document?
I'm sorry, which document is it?
W is in water.
Okay.
Washington State Licensing.
And can you see the print date of this?
30th, 2013.
Okay. And whose licensing information is this?
Jessica Freeland.
All right, move to admit tab W.
The objection to the
Okay.
admission of, okay.
And what is
Exhibit
the
W
ad-
is admitted into the record.
Thank you, Judge. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What is the address of Jessica's license?
12810 East Nora, Spokane Valley, Washington, 99216.
So it's safe to say Real Estate Services of Spokane Incorporated is Jessica's business, correct?
She works for Remax. I don't know if that's their LLC number, maybe. Her business card says Remax.
And you do not know what the income of that company is, correct?
Correct.
Have you ever referred to Jessica as crazy?
Possibly in a loving, fun kind of a way.
Is Jessica married?
No.
Does she have children?
Yes.
How many?
One.
And how does Jessica get along with her ex-husband?
Objection calls for speculation. And she's up in Washington State, she's down here.
Well, it's a foundational objection, so I'll sustain it. You need to lay a foundation, counsel.
Was Jessica married previously?
Yes.
Is she divorced now?
Yes.
Did she talk to you about her divorce?
Yes.
Is Jessica your friend?
Yes.
Does she share her confidences with you?
Yes.
How does Jessica feel about her ex-husband, in your knowledge?
Well, they're no longer married, so he's not her favorite person, but she doesn't hate his guts. They have a daughter together. She has something beautiful from that relationship, so.
Just a second, Your Honor. I know it's in the stack somewhere. All right. Can you turn to Exhibit Z? What is the title of this document?
Plaintiff's response to defendant's first questions for admissions.
Can you flip back to number 22? It's on page 7. Can you read 22? The request and the response?
Admit you terminated a relationship with an investor who wanted to utilize your services as a real estate agent to purchase real estate in the Las Vegas area. My response was deny. This investor was not happy with Nevada Realty Solutions and wanted to switch agencies, which he subsequently did. He wanted me to follow him to a different agency, which I was not able or willing to do.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
This is the opposition to motion to modify spousal support and counter motion for relocation. It's been previously admitted. We still have to admit this one.
Okay, you may.
Can you turn to page 6?
Which document are we looking at?
But
The opposition? Is it one of the exhibits in the exhibit book? You indicated you stipulated to it. Do you know what?
his exhibits, where's his exhibit list? Oh, here we go. It's, his exhibit, it's plaintiff's exhibit 3.
Exhibit 3. So that has been admitted into the record.
On page 6, can you please read lines 1 through 5?
Plaintiff is earning at this time. In fact, plaintiff has a large cash investor over the past year with whom she was just establishing a relationship to show and sell him multiple houses. However, this person has elected to separate from his out-of-state wife and start hitting on Farah. Farah was not interested in such a relationship, and after the consultation with her pastor, terminated his business relationship. In fact, do you want me to keep going? In fact, in June 1st, 2012 until December 31st, 2012, Farah sold 11 houses and earned gross commissions of $14,200. Okay.
All right. Can you flip to tab S, as in Sierra? Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is the date on this document?
June 4th, 2013.
And what is this? What's the title of this document?
Memorandum for Island Seas Aquasun Investment.
And whose signature is on this page?
Both Chris and myself.
And that is your signature?
Yes.
Move to admit Exhibit S.
Any objection to the admission of Exhibit S?
Objection.
Exhibit S is admitted into the record.
And can you summarize the content of this memo?
Yeah, I was trying to get out from, and we have a timeshare, a 30-year timeshare every other year. And Chris was attempting to get it off the books completely so that we don't have to. Since we no longer use it, we would no longer be required to pay the maintenance fees every other year, and then we were going to divide it every other year by each other.
So do I understand this correctly? You're no longer required to pay for that.
I signed something asking for that, but I guess, I don't know. We put the request out.
What's bullet number 1 say? Can you read that out loud?
For my conversation with Perry Greger on May 31st, 2013, if I pay the outstanding maintenance fees on this account, I can terminate all interest in my Island Seas account.
And what's number 4 say?
I request a confirmation letter stating my account is terminated and that no future maintenance fees or any other fees of any kind will be billed to my account.
And since June 4th of 2013, have you had to pay any more maintenance fees or any other fees of any kind on this account?
I have not.
Okay. And Your Honor, I have another exhibit here. It's already been admitted. Wait, yes, it's it's plaintiff's exhibit 5, defendant's motion to modify spousal support. May I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Can you read the title of that document?
Motion to modify spousal support.
Okay, and then I gave you another motion earlier. It's plaintiff's exhibit number 3. Can you read the title of that document?
This one earlier that you gave?
Yes.
Opposition to motion to modify spousal support and counter motion for relocation.
Okay. On defendant's exhibits, can you look at tab N? It's in November. Can you flip to the 3rd page of text messages? Do you recognize these text messages?
Yeah, it's between Chris and I.
And is there a date stamp on any of them that can indicate when they were sent? No, I
don't think.
believe the second page has a date stamp.
Oh, July 20th, 2013.
Okay, so on the third page, Your Honor, I'd like to move to admit Exhibit N.
No objection.
Exhibit N is admitted into the record.
Thank you. On the third page, can you read the first bubble for yourself?
Okay. The first bubble?
Yes.
Then I don't want the kids to go with you on Monday. Sorry, I would like to meet her first in person before the kids. I ask that you please respect that request.
Thank you. Can you flip back a few more to the sixth page? And what's the date on this one?
July 20th, 2013.
And can you read me the text bubble that you sent to Kristen?
Below, right below the July 20th, 2013.
No, the one that you sent, not Kristen's side of the conversation, yours.
No, I know. Then I have nothing to worry about.
I think this is not. Let me make sure. Are you on the sixth page? Maybe the next page is July 21st, 2013. The timestamp is 14:15.
Was that the seventh page?
Maybe I did them wrong, Your Honor. I have it as the sixth.
But it's
California.
July 21st.
It's July 21st, 2013, 14:15.
You can pick up the kids. Is that the one you're referring to?
It's the seventh page in our exhibit book, it looks like.
Okay, I apologize for that, Judge.
Okay.
Can you read your text bubble?
You can pick up the kids today only if you agree to bring them back before you go to California tomorrow. I do not want the kids leaving the state. If you can't agree to that, then don't bother coming to get them today.
Can Kristen take the children to Primm, Nevada?
Yes, you can.
Is she allowed to take them to Laughlin?
Yes.
And what about a trip to the Hoover Dam?
Yes.
So all of those areas are involved crossing the state line. Do you believe that you have the right to stop Kristen from taking the children across state lines?
The police officers.
That's not what I'm
explained
asking.
everything to
No,
me, so
Farrah.
my understanding of it now is very different than what I had thought previous to.
I'm asking, do you think that Kristen has the right to take the kids across the state line?
Now I do.
Okay. So if he wanted to take them on a camping trip for the weekend up to Utah, he is allowed to do that.
Yes, he is.
Thank you. Can I get you to flip over to tab O as in Oscar? So unfortunately, we don't have a date stamp on here. It's timestamped 1730.
Let me just clarify. It appears that there's an Exhibit M in the middle of our set, and that's why it would be page 6.
Oh,
Because it has to do with, there's text messages, and then
Then there's a page in the middle.
D, souls, information. It appears to be a copy of Exhibit M. So you don't-
The witness How Deep Souls.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, just for the record. So it is page 6, but
Oh,
we
okay.
need to extract that page.
I'm sorry.
It looks like it's her CV.
Yeah, it looks like it is.
I noticed. I thought I caught them all. My printer
That's fine.
apparently ran off a few
No,
extra resumes for D.
Not a problem.
Back to tab O. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is it?
Text message between Chris and myself.
And is this a true and correct representation of the text message that you sent to Kristen?
I think so.
All right, can I move to have Exhibit O entered into evidence?
Any objection to the admission of Exhibit O?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit O is admitted into the record.
Can you please read that text, Farrah?
Yeah, having to not go back and forth every week or so and being told that dairy, gluten are good for them with you and diets being changed are not in their best interest. I know that you love them and they do you, as I know that they love you as you do them. That is not the question. I want them to have a good relationship with you. Again, this is not revenge. God has given me a peace about moving.
You flip to tab F, as in Foxtrot. And what is this document?
More text messages between Chris and myself.
What's the date stamp on this one?
July 20th, 2013.
And can you, Your Honor, move to admit Exhibit F?
Any objection to the admission of Exhibit F?
Objection.
Exhibit F is admitted.
Can you read your text to Kristen?
I need to know why you're going to California. Are you going to pick up? I still not understand. I thought it was Virica. I'm not sure how she pronounced it earlier. Vicky. If so, the kids are not going with you.
Can you flip to Exhibit P? What's the title of this document?
Arresting in Spokane. Beating death of World War II vet.
And where is this document from?
CNN.
What is CNN?
I don't know what the C stands for. News Network.
So it's news. What's the date on this?
August 23rd, 2013.
I'm going to move to admit Exhibit P.
Any objection to the admission of Exhibit P?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit P is admitted into the record.
Thank you, Judge. Is Asher in school?
No.
Is Zaria?
Yes.
And where does she go?
Lone Mountain Academy.
Is that a public school?
No.
Private school?
Yes.
Parochial school?
A Christian Academy.
It's run by the church?
Yes.
Okay. So public school statistics don't really apply to Zaria's education, do they?
I'm paying for education. I'm hoping she's getting a better education than the public schools.
That's not what I asked. I asked if public school statistics apply to Zaria's education or not. Yes or
Objection.
no?
Are we talking about China, the United States, Nevada? What are we talking about?
If you'd lay a foundation, counsel. You're talking about Nevada public school?
Nevada or Washington. Would Nevada or Washington public school statistics apply to Zaria's education at the academy that she goes to?
Either one would apply, yeah.
How would they apply?
They're both, we're talking about school-aged children in different locations as to different factors that affect their education.
I said public school statistics. Does Zaria go to a public school?
Yeah.
Okay, so how exactly would public school statistics apply to her schooling?
Objection. Asked and answered. She just answered a second ago.
No, she didn't ask. She didn't
Overruled.
answer how.
Overruled. You may answer the question.
How would public school statistics apply to Zaria's education?
I guess it would just be, it wouldn't in the sense as to what is being taught, because she's not being taught the same material, but the outside influences surrounding the schools would be the same, whether it's a private or a public school. But the actual material being taught in school is different.
Okay, what about money per pupil? If the school district, Clark County School District, spends $10,000 a year per student, that's just an example, hypothetical, I don't know. How does that have anything to do with Zaria's education in a private school?
Well, the amount of money spent in public schools far outweighs what is spent in her school. So there's more money being spent in the public schools.
So what does that have to do with Zaria's education? What does the public school spending per student have to do with Zaria's education?
It's about students being raised and taught in Las Vegas.
You're still not answering my question. What do public school statistics have to do with Zaria's
I'm answering
education?
your question.
No, you're not, Farah.
Okay, don't argue. Ask the question and move along.
So what do public school statistics in Nevada or in Washington State and or both, what do they have to do with Zaria's education in a private school?
I've said the outside influences of that city influence the public school statistics, not the material being taught. She's being taught very different material.
I didn't ask you about the outside influences of the city. What I asked you was about public school statistics.
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered. Argumentative.
Your Honor, the witness is being argumentative. She's academically gifted, she's an educated woman, and she's being obtuse on purpose.
The objection is sustained. Let's move along.
Yes, Judge. What does your father do for a living?
He's a commercial airline pilot.
And what airline?
U.S. Air?
And do your parents fly for free?
Yes.
How did your parents treat Kristen before you were married?
Chris came over for dinner like every night for the 6 years we were dating. So they didn't hate him.
How did they treat him during your marriage?
Good. They didn't agree to me marrying him, but once I had made that decision, they opened up. But he was a son. Everything that they had was his. He could use everything. He was their son.
Does your mother work?
No.
What's the square footage of your parents' home?
Under 5,000 square feet.
How long does it take to get from your parents' house to downtown Spokane?
Downtown?
Yeah.
I get to the airport in 45. Downtown's before that, so I don't know. 35, 40 minutes.
And is that in the summertime, or does it take longer when the roads are frozen?
Oh, of course it takes longer when the roads are frozen.
And then with regard to the house you currently live in here in Las Vegas, you and your parents bought that together, correct?
Correct.
When did you close on that house?
December 20-something, 2012.
That was less than a year ago, right?
Correct.
You were in a car accident recently, right?
Last Tuesday.
And where were you at?
A block away from the school.
Who was in the car with you?
Me and my 2 kids.
And did the airbags deploy?
Praise God. Yes.
Did anyone lose consciousness?
Yes.
Who?
My daughter's area.
Who picked you up from the scene?
Others, parents that had just dropped off their kids at the school.
And where did you go from the scene of the accident?
We stopped by the church, and then we went directly to the emergency room.
And other than Kristen, who did you call?
My dad, he was supposed to arrive in an overnight that day, and so I was supposed to pick him up at the airport, and I needed to let him know he needed to get a rental car and meet me at the emergency room. So Chris and my dad.
Did you call anyone else?
No.
You didn't call your insurance company?
Oh, well, yeah. At the scene? I don't think I called him at the scene.
Did you call them at the church?
No. I called him at the hospital.
And the children were puking at the scene of the accident, right?
Asher had puked once at the accident. Zaria had not. Zaria puked at the church, and we immediately went to the emergency room.
And did the kids get CAT scans?
Yes.
And how was Asher about getting into the CAT scan machine?
It's scary. It's very scary. He was upset.
So who got him to settle down for the CAT scan?
Well, both Chris and I were there.
And what did Kristen do?
I don't remember. That was such a traumatic day. I have no idea.
How did the children get their insurance?
Through Chris's work?
How did the children get, let me rephrase, did the children get any college benefits from Kristen's job?
I know he had talked about when we were married, him signing over his GI benefits to Zarius education. But not to my knowledge, he hasn't done that.
And how is Asher on the phone?
Was he on the phone?
Yes.
He's a talkative little guy. You can't get him to stop talking.
So he has full conversations on the phone.
Yes.
How old is Asher?
I'll be 3 next Wednesday.
Does he pronunciate his words right?
Pretty good for his age. I get compliments all the time for how well he does, how well he speaks.
For his age.
For his age.
And what kind of neighborhood do you live in?
A gated community.
How many bedrooms are in your house?
3 and a den.
Do you have a pool?
Yes.
How big is your garage?
3 car.
That's all I have for right now, Your Honor.
Do you desire to cross-examine the plaintiff at this time?
Just a couple of questions. I like to save most of my questions for when I call her as a witness on my side of the case.
Okay.
You had a quote-unquote big investor that you worked with for a period of time, is that correct?
Yes.
And ultimately, you stopped working with him, is that correct?
Yes.
Why did you stop working with him?
His wife was having an affair, and she then accused him of having an affair with me, which is an absurd claim. And I had said that I had no business relationship is worth interfering with the marriage. And so I wrote him a letter saying I would no longer work with him. And at the same time, as I parted ways with him, his company sued my brokerage, and they were taking their business elsewhere. And he had still wanted me to go to the next agency that I think he's with Keller Williams now. Keller Williams. He wanted me to move to Keller Williams. And there was just no way. I just wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that for money. Not with his wife, thinking that there was any kind of relationship it was completely fictitious on her part. So no amount of money is worth that.
Do you try to sell homes through your Facebook website?
No.
You try to sell homes through Twitter website?
No.
LinkedIn?
I don't really do much with the social networks yet.
What agency are you with right now?
Nevada Realty Solutions.
Why are you with that agency?
Why I'm with it? I feel like I get the best value. Like, they spend a lot of money on marketing, and that's what I'm getting with hanging my license there. In turn, they give me leads, so I don't have to drum up all the business on my own. I can spend that time with my kids, and I don't have to, always be constantly looking for new work. My company does all of that marketing, and then I get leads from them.
Do you intend to work full-time in real estate in Las Vegas, Nevada in 2014?
I hope to be granted permission to leave and start my business up in Washington.
Do you intend to work full-time in Washington in the real estate business?
As much as I can. My son is only 3 years old. I want to be home with him as much as possible. And so, no, my intention is not to work full-time. My intention is to work enough to make ends meet so that I can be home with my son and my daughter, and taking her to all of her activities. But since my son is not of school age, I want to spend time with him. Did you have objections to Chris taking the kids to California as these emails were admitted into evidence recently? Did you have objections to that? I did
And what were your objections?
Well, I don't know anything about this woman except the text messages that I had found earlier, and so I was apprehensive of my kids being exposed to her because I just didn't know who she was. I didn't know anything about her, and I didn't think it was necessary that Chris take them, the 5 hours to LAX and then the 5 hours back to meet someone that I didn't know would be questionable or not. In my office, did I show you a MapQuest for how far it was from Ann Road and 95 to the LAX airport? Yes. Did it represent it was approximately 5 hours? Yes. Okay, now, LA is a bad city for traffic. If there's a wreck or something, it can take longer to get to the airport? Yes. And then pick somebody up at the airport, that might take an hour or two? Yes. So it's very conceivable that under the best of circumstances, it was going to be about a 12-hour round trip to take those children over and back to pick up this woman? Would you, if you had to go to LAX to pick somebody up, want to take your 6-year-old and 2-year-old with you over and back the same day?
Not if I'd have someone that was willing to watch them.
Why wouldn't you want to do that?
It's a long time in the car. It's one thing going there, but then coming back, that's a lot.
How do you think your children are going to be by the end of a 12-hour trip like that?
Oh, they're not good after a 5-hour trip, so cranky.
So you were concerned not only about the children being introduced to somebody that you hadn't met yet, but you were also concerned about the distance involved.
Correct.
All right. Zaria's in private school, is that correct?
Yes,
And how much does that school cost every year?
$4,800.
Are you current on your payments?
I am
How much is it every month?
$240.
For you for 240, and then 240 for the defendant?
Billed 10 months out of the year, and then per our decree, we're to split the tuition 50-50 both 10 months.
Was Chris on time paying tuition last year?
No,
Is he current now?
no,
What months does he owe for now?
everything for this year, August, September, and October.
If your spousal support is cut significantly, are you going to be able to afford to continue to keep Zaria in private school?
I don't know. I don't know.
If Chris continues to not make the payments, is there going to come a point in time where either you're going to have to make them or she's going to be thrown out of the private school?
Potentially, yes. They know that the school is aware that we're under litigation right now. So they're not sending us to collections as of yet, but I am getting called by the tuition company that collects tuition daily about the lack of payment.
So isn't it feasible, depending on the outcome of this case, and whether Chris continues to be delinquent in payment of these bills, that you would have to put Zaria in public schools?
I don't even want to think about that. Yeah, I suppose I would try my hardest to be able to keep her in.
Even if you had to pay it all yourself. So you do have a concern about the significant difference in educational standards between Washington and Nevada?
Nevada's like ranked 50th in the nation. Other Air Force friends that I have that have moved here, their kids are a couple years behind from various states that they've moved from. So I would really try very hard, as long as I'm in Nevada, to keep her in where she's at.
If she had to go to private school or public schools, would you prefer that to be in Nevada or Washington?
Washington State.
And how are the schools in Washington ranked, do you know?
Well, I know the school that I graduated from is one of the top in the state of Washington. I don't know overall. I think in the 20s.
If I represented to you that Washington, according to the...
Objection, Your Honor. The plaintiff's counsel is trying to sneak in evidence that he didn't produce in a timely manner, and he's just trying to do an in-run around the rules. This shouldn't be allowed.
I'm not trying to do any such thing, Your Honor.
No, just state the evidentiary objection and I'll rule on it.
My objection is that he's trying to get evidence in that he didn't produce.
Well, first of all, Judge...
He's trying to read it into evidence.
Well, there hasn't been an adequate foundation laid
All right.
for the question, so the objection's sustained.
I'm going to have to get the court's indulgence to find it, because I did, in these documents that we've already agreed to admit, show the rankings of Nevada versus Washington. So if the court will give me the indulgence to find that, I will find it. You know what, Judge? I'll pass that until my case in chief, and I'll find it in the meantime.
Okay.
If you were to sell your Las Vegas home right now, would you expect to make money off the sale?
Yes.
You recall when opposing counsel was asking you questions about the expenses regarding the rental houses?
Yes.
Did the reconciliation that you provided indicate that that there were certain expenses to be jointly reimbursed, and at that point in time you would start paying him as half of the revenue?
Yes.
Have you started paying him as half of the revenue?
Yes, I've sent him money, and he refused. He didn't accept payment of it.
No, Your Honor, the objection, that's not true. It doesn't work. So she hasn't actually
Well,
given
hang
him
on. I don't know that a valid evidentiary objection is that it's not true. I mean, you have to come up with a valid evidentiary objection. Again, I don't want to spend much time on this issue, so if there's an evidentiary objection, I'll
I feel
entertain
obligated
it.
to respond to some of the things that were asked.
I understand.
All I'm doing,
So,
Judge, that's probably my last question.
all right, the objection's overruled.
Did you attempt to send money to Chris this month for his half of the rental
Yeah, I
income?
sent him like $145 via my Chase account, but he has to accept it via email and set up the account so he could collect the funds, and he never did. He never accepted it. And I asked him about it. He says, I've been busy, I'm going to. And he just hasn't.
All right, Judge, I have no further questions.
All right, any redirect, counsel?
Yes, Judge. This investor that you were working with, how do you know that his wife accused him of an affair?
I received text from her.
Have you driven to Spokane with the children?
Yes.
How many times?
I don't know. I mean, you talking about since we've been divorced or like ever?
Well, how many times this year?
Once.
Okay. And how long does it take you to get from Las Vegas to Spokane?
It's a 10-hour drive and an 8-hour drive, and I split it up in two. I stop in either Salt Lake or Boise and go on, or coming back the same way, reverse.
So you're allowed to take the children on all-day road trips, but Kristen is not?
I'm the primary parent.
That's not my question. You're allowed to take the children on all-day road trips, but Kristen is not. Yes or no?
Okay, well, it would be longer than that. It's more than a day. It was a couple weeks we were gone, or 10 days.
How long were the children in the car at one time?
I just said it's an 8-hour drive and a 10-hour drive.
Okay, so you had the children in the car for 8 hours, and then you had the children in the car for 10 hours. Correct?
Yes.
All right.
It
But-
wasn't straight. I mean, we stopped.
At like gas station. Okay, so Kristen is not allowed to do that though. You are.
My biggest objection.
That's not what I asked you. Is Kristen allowed to do
Objection,
that?
Your Honor.
And
We're plowing the ground over again. I'm not sure where we're going.
She won't.
No, the objection's overruled. You need to listen to the question and answer the question.
So you are allowed to take the children in the car for an all-day road trip, but Kristen is not. Is that your opinion?
No.
So why do you think it's okay for you to keep the kids in the car all day to drive to Spokane, but it is not okay for Kristen to keep them in the car to drive to LA?
I never said that.
Yes, you did.
She said,
All right.
Your Honor, she said no.
I
She doesn't think
I
that's
understand. I understand the testimony.
All right. So on this bank transfer, Kristen has to set up an account with your bank to
He just
receive
needs to
it?
accept the payment. He needs to acknowledge that I sent it.
I did, and it failed. It redirected on 18.
That's all the questions I have right now, Your Honor.
Okay, you may step down. Thank you. Your next witness?
Your Honor, can I get a time? How much time I have left?
Yeah, let me look at the numbers.
Your Honor, could we request a brief recess for a bathroom break?
Sure. Yeah, we'll take a 10-minute break. Let me just give you your times before we have approximately 34 minutes for the plaintiff, defendant.
I take my shoes and socks off. It would help, Judge.
Count on your toes, huh? 128 minutes.
Can you explain what the plaintiff is, or the defendant's used 128 minutes so far?
Correct.
Okay.
Defendant has used
I'm
128
sorry.
minutes. Plaintiff has used 34 minutes.
34 and 128. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break.